It's his real surname, Seth for privacy. Seth is the vice president of Cake Wallet, which I'm told is a sponsor of our cake party afterwards at the thing. Also, you need to know that we're going to be giving away some Litecoin later, and we're going to have an auction, live auction for some really cool stuff. And you're going to get this little fun little auction face thing. And I've been told that the best prize in the thing that you could win has a value of somewhere between a $100 gift card of Litecoin and a Lamborghini. Somewhere in between there. And from a legal standpoint, that is a factual statement that the best thing you can win is somewhere between there. Seth is so the point being is spread the word. You don't want to miss the second half of the day, and you want to stay to the whole time so you can win the stuff. That's when you know you've made it in comedy, when you're opening for a raffle. Because you know they'll stay till the end, and they'll see your whole set. So that makes me feel great. Vice President of Cake Wallet, a self-custody multi-cryptocur. Oh, it did go to the other line. Multi-cryptocurrency wallet that makes crypto simple for all. He is also the host of the Opt Out podcast. Please welcome Seth for privacy, who's obviously and clearly this guy right here, Seth for privacy, is him.
It is me. It is me. I think this is mine. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, thank you all so much. You'll hear me ramble on a little bit more about privacy yet again, but as he mentioned, it's the surname. So this is my lot in life. I have no choice. So excited to get up here. It's been an absolute blast joining the Cake Wallet team. I joined them last September, which was right before we launched MWEB to all of our users. It's been, I think, a fantastic success. It's been awesome to see how much usage we are getting, how much more Litecoin is being deposited within the MWEB sidechain, and really seeing that side of things grow, because obviously a deep passion of mine is personal privacy, but not just for nerds, for actual people who actually just wake up to the idea of, I actually do care about my own privacy. I want them to have useful tools. So today we won't be focusing as much right now about MWEB in Cake Wallet, but rather something new that we wanted to go ahead and announce here. We just shipped yesterday, so we'll dive into it a little bit. So about Cake Wallet, the very quick TLDR, we are a Bitcoin, Litecoin, multi-crypto wallet. Started as Monero only in 2018, so privacy has always been at the core of everything we do. That comes in two ways. One, on the app side, we don't have any logging, no telemetry, no user accounts, no email addresses. We don't want to know anything about you. Your data is your business. It's not our business. So that's core to what we do. Obviously, that informs why we wanted to bring MWEB into Cake Wallet. We have a huge loyal Litecoin user base. We see that they're critical users in swapping crypto, and obviously it's a no-brainer to bring privacy tech to that community. So a quick kind of primer. We touched on a lot of this in the privacy panel that we just had, so I don't want to rehash too much of it. But some really critical things happen if we don't have financial privacy, and some really critical improvements to life, especially for merchants and people who actually want to buy things if they do have financial privacy. So the crux of these really revolves around self-censorship. Again, we talked about this a lot on the privacy panel a few minutes ago. But if you know that someone is surveilling what you're buying, how you're buying it, and how much money you own, you're going to act very, very differently. It's just the nature of human psychology. This has been very well documented over many, many studies, that if you have someone who thinks they have privacy and doesn't, they act extremely differently. There's a critical depression in the amount of innovation, in the amount of actual discussion around divisive ideas and talking through it and actually solving things. Things really fall apart very quickly when you do self-censor. And we see that on the financial side as well. Ultimately, money is just another form of speech. So if we cannot use money freely, we then necessarily do not have free speech. It also impacts merchants heavily, and I know Justin Berman mentioned this on the privacy panel, but if you're a merchant, you have supplier relationships, you have deals that you have in place. If anyone in the world can just go and look up how much money you're spending to this specific supplier at any given time, every month, whatever, however often you make those payments, it can very quickly undermine those supplier relationships, and those merchants can suffer as well. So that brings us to MWEB, which is a fantastic privacy tool. It's really a scaling technology that by the very means that it provides scaling, it provides really good privacy when used correctly. Now, the difficulty always comes because Litecoin, Bitcoin, most other cryptocurrencies are transparent by default at the base layer. So when you use Litecoin as it normally comes, the sender, the receiver, and the amount are generally just visible to everyone out there. MWEB obviously hides all three of those things, but the downside comes where if you're using MWEB just as this thing you hop through, and you're always starting at the base layer and ending at the base layer, the privacy provided by MWEB is actually very negligible. And it falls apart very quickly because you can easily see the amounts going into and out of MWEB. You can see the time that those transactions take place. And it doesn't matter what that interim is. That interim could be something as pure as Monero as the middle ground. If you do Bitcoin, Monero, Bitcoin, which is a common privacy pattern that people think provides privacy, it's actually very poor protection. We can have the same problem in MWEB. So the ultimate solution really is if we want MWEB to provide the best privacy for the end user, they need to be able to move into MWEB, but then also actually make payments within MWEB. That comes via two things. One is obviously wallet adoption. So Cake Wallet's led the way on the mobile side. I know David Burkett has been doing fantastic work on the core wallet to bring MWEB and to bring better support there. So wallet adoption is key. So the average individual paying, the average individual can stay within MWEB. That's obviously huge. But within Litecoin, there's a huge circular economy. There's massive merchant adoption. That's one of the main drivers for Litecoin in the conversations I have with people. So the ability for someone to actually go to a merchant, buy the thing that they want while staying within MWEB, not having to go back to Litecoin's main chain, not having to swap for some other cryptocurrency, means that MWEB will be drastically more useful to those users, and it will also be more privacy preserving. So just touching a little bit more on the simplicity of MWEB. I have come from the Bitcoin side of things, have been a Monero user for many years, have been deeply involved in understanding and educating about and building a lot of the latest and greatest privacy tech across multiple chains. The thing that I love about MWEB is that it's very simple. Like if I was to do a presentation to you about MWEB, it would be hard to spend 20 minutes on it because the concept itself is actually quite straightforward. It hides the sender, the receiver, and the amount. The user experience is very simple. In Cake Wallet, you just hit peg in, you move Litecoin into MWEB, and then you use it. That's the goal, is that, again, privacy technology is most useful when you don't have to make this conscious decision every time you want to use it. You just say, yeah, I like privacy, opt in, I'm done. That's it. That's really what it should be like. And thankfully, MWEB really enables us to do that in a very simple way, very straightforward. The other thing that's really powerful about MWEB, and this somewhat contradicts the points I was just making about moving into and out of MWEB when you want to make transactions. But one thing that is really powerful about MWEB is you don't have to stay within it. You don't have to only pay other MWEB addresses, but you can pay out of it. You can peg out to other individuals, which is really good for backwards compatibility, but like I said, is bad for privacy. But it's a very critical feature as merchant adoption for MWEB starts off and ramps up. Many merchants won't support MWEB directly. Those that do, obviously you want to use MWEB, but those that don't, you can still pay them from MWEB, which is a huge advantage as well. And then the last one that is still kind of in the works, but is something that I'm really excited about, is being able to actually store your wealth in Litecoin within MWEB. Again, you don't want to have like your hot wallet in MWEB, but every time you actually want to save funds, you move them to your cold wallet, and you have to go back to the transparent base layer, and you end up losing a lot of the privacy provided. So I know that there's been a lot of work on ledger support for MWEB. It sounds like that's very close. I think Hector Chu has been working on that lately. And then at Cake Wallet, we have another app called Cupcake. It's not quite ready for prime time. It's something that we've been working on heavily lately. But what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to use an old phone, like an old Android phone or iOS phone that you have lying around. Maybe you would just throw it out. But you can use this. It's an entirely offline app. That acts essentially like a hardware wallet, so it'll have a lot of the same guarantees of your funds will never be online. It's an entirely offline app. We don't even ask for the permission, so there's no way for the app to reach the internet or for the internet anyone on the internet to reach the funds within the app. But you can use it as a way to have a cold wallet without having to buy something else, buy an explicit piece of hardware that's built for custody, which has two advantages. One, it just opens up more secure self-custody to everyone, no matter how much money you have. But also, and the really critical one for me, is it hides the fact that you are a cryptocurrency user. Like if you're buying a ledger and you're getting it shipped to your house, there's a lot of people along the line that learn that you are a cryptocurrency user and that you have enough that you want to store it more safely, which is a very bad thing for OPSEC. I know that David Burkett mentioned this latest wave of kidnappings and ransom and craziness that's happening because crypto is mainstream. Bad guys understand crypto. They understand that it's something that's easy to steal, that can't be reversed. So they're coming after that, and being able to do that in a way where you don't reveal to Ledger or some third party that you are a cryptocurrency user is really helpful. So cold private storage will be really useful there. But on the practical side, I'm not sure why this didn't quite render properly, but the main thing that I wanted to touch on today is we have CakePay, which is a product within Cake Wallet and a product that anyone can use, even if you're not a Cake Wallet user on the web. And it's a debit card and gift card purchasing service where you can use crypto to buy gift cards and debit cards to thousands of merchants, all your favorite ones, Amazon, Walmart, Uber, DoorDash, or buy a debit card you can load into Apple Pay or Google Pay and spend at any merchant worldwide, tap to pay. We've had this service for a long time. It's been around in the Cake ecosystem for a while, but we actually yesterday just launched a new version of CakePay, a new website, but the more interesting thing to me, especially for this conference, is that we launched native Litecoin and native MWEB support for CakePay. So now the now 600,000 users of Cake Wallet who are seeing CakePay every day in their app, all of the users who are using CakePay on the web, now they see MWEB as an option every time they check out, and now they can pay in a way that preserves their privacy without having to move in and out of the base layer of Litecoin, without having to swap for a different cryptocurrency. Now you can pay us directly in MWEB. We actually take self-custody of that MWEB. It's not going to a third-party payment processor or something like that. And it's been an absolutely fantastic experience. It's something you can try out today, it's just cakepay.com. But it's actually been much simpler than I expected. We talked about this for a while, about something that we wanted to ship. I expected it to be pretty painful, honestly, but the combination of all of the fantastic work of the BTC Pay team, which they're an open source payment processor that you can self-host, they have built a very well-designed, very modular system where people can build plugins and make them very easy to run. And then the work of Hector Chu, who built a BTC Pay plugin. As far as I understand, we were the first ones to actually run it. We kind of figured out, working alongside him, how everything worked, tested it at scale, and it's been a very simple process and one that we're trying to also make easier for other merchants to run as well. So if you run BTC Pay server, that's a mouthful, you can very easily enable MWEB with just one command line command and installing the plugin, and you're off to the races. So we were very excited to launch that. We launched that yesterday. Yep. We launched that yesterday. There was a QR code for cakepay.com, but it's a very easy URL there to go ahead and access. There's supposed to be one more slide, but that's fine. But yeah, I do want to leave a little bit of time here for questions. If anyone wants to learn a little bit more about what the integration process was like, how we're thinking about MWEB, what adoption has been like, those kinds of things. So if anybody has any questions, I'm all ears. Go for it. So we have been doing a lot of work on improving MWEB, both us directly and working with Hector Chu. So we've had some big improvements, especially in scanning times, so like the performance there, as well as fixing some bugs. We did actually have a bug in the version we just released a couple days ago. We rolled out a hotfix that fixed it as well. So as far as I know, it should be working well now. I've been using it off and on. We're always doing QA testing around the process to make sure it works. But obviously, there can be edge cases. If you run into things, it's difficult being on the cutting edge. We're the only people with MWEB on mobile, so we're kind of learning as we go as well. But I think it's been a pretty solid experience so far. So hopefully you can give it another try and see how that works for you. Yeah, in the back. I'm definitely open to it. I need to learn a little bit more about how exactly that's going to be accomplished in Litecoin. I think the guy who I should talk to is here as well, so I'll definitely pick his brain. It's something that has been around as a concept, if it's the same as Bitcoin's coin swaps, which my understanding it is. It's been around as a concept for a while. I'm hesitant to advise CoinSwap as a tool for privacy, especially on the base layer. If you're doing it within MWEB, I think there's some really good privacy practices there. So explicitly within MWEB, yes, that would be something that I would love. But the very important thing to keep in mind with CoinSwap, or anything where you're trading UTXOs, you're trading coins with some other entity, is you might not want the history of the coin that the other entity has to offer. And that's the main problem with like coin swaps and Bitcoin, is it's been an idea proposed for a long time, but Bitcoin is not fungible, it is not private by default, it has no MWEB. So if I'm gonna swap coins with a random stranger online, I probably don't wanna do that. I think generally like coin swap on Bitcoin is a bad idea, but if we can do that within the MWEB ecosystem where there's not this easy traceability of the history of UTXOs, I think that'd be a fantastic tool and definitely something we would look into. Yeah. 100% open source, always has been, always will be. Yep, yeah. Any other questions? Okay, well, we'll wrap a little bit early then. Awesome. Thank you all.
Great job, great job. We love when